Good morning. First of all, let me introduce myself. As Eva told us, I am Rafael Pérez. I am Chief Quality and Environmental Officer of Deoleo. I have the honor to be here in order to show you the progress of we are doing in sustainability in the olive oil sector. And if I may, let me start introducing my company, Deoleo. Deoleo, in the context of the olive oil sector, we are proud to be the biggest branded manufacturer and marketer in the industry, counting with more than 600 people, more than 29 brands. In our portfolio, there are sold around 69 countries, and that make around more or less 140 million liters sold around the world, and sourced from 8 different countries. And please allow me to ask a question. What is sustainability? If we base ourselves of the definition by the World Commission on Environment Development in 1987 report, known as Brundtland Report, sustainability is sustainably developed is the development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. And standing for this definition, our sustainability strategy has been articulated in 3 main pillars: growing together, blending with love, and caring for you. To act across the entire value chain and with the clear foundation that present in all the pillars driving a responsible business. The intention of this presentation is to take you more in depth through the first pillar, that I will explain in detail, leaving for the next opportunity, so just a mention about caring for you pillar. No less important, that is mainly about enabling nutrition and good health of consumer and our people, and spreading the health property on this great product that is the core of the Mediterranean diet and lifestyle. Regarding blending with love, we could highlight that in all the process directly managed by Deoleo, such as its factories and products, we have already been pioneers in achieving very demanding environmental aspects. For example, we have zero waste certification in our 2 factories, in Italy and in Spain, by AENOR, since 2022. We have put 762 tons of recycled PET to the market. PET, of course, is second life to the bottle, of course. In Carbonell brand, for example, in Spain, or Maestro Doji Blanca in Spain also, Bertolli in US, or north of Europe. And finally, we have 100% of the energy acquired for our factory is green energy, and therefore we must continue expanding our commitment to other links of the supply chain, such as the field to oil mills. And for this, we have the main pillar for this session, growing together. As I mentioned, I will focus on the growing together pillars, we have to talk about our sustainability protocol, since it is the key tool of this pillar. Duty of care start the olive groves. We will work in partnership with farmers to develop sustainable practices and secure supply chain. Growing together is a collaborative effort, building on the strength of experience of our partners and implementing the latest in responsible farming practices or good practice. Together, we're helping strengthen communities, promote livelihood, and preserve the legacy of the olive oil cultivation for years to come. And therefore, this pillar, growing together, focuses on the first part of the value chain between the field and the consumer, specifically on olive harvesting, farmers, and olive mills. I mean the first step of the value chain of olive oil industry. And this pillar of our strategy is implemented through our sustainability protocol, and this protocol covers 4 aspects: environment, social, economy, and quality aspect of olive oil. Since 2018 or 2018, we have been working to develop sustainable practices that improve our product and guarantee add value all stakeholders and protect farmers through our sustainability protocol. We are pioneers, and we are very proud on sustainability protocol. We are proud a pioneer like a private company, of course. It is important to highlight that an independent third party, in this case Intertek, certify or verify it. This gives credibility to our project and our commitment. If we go into detail of our protocol, has 8 blocks: organization and people, quality and food safety, water management and monitoring, 4, energy efficiency and management, 5, soil management and conservation, biodiversity management, landscape and nature conservation, 7, waste and byproduct management, and finally, agrochemical application management. As you know, has a wide aspect in consideration. In short, there are 235 actions in total with different levels of demand and difficulty, distributed across the 8 blocks I mentioned earlier. And as we mentioned, an independent third party audit this clear objective requirement has certified the level of compliance. And now we are going to share with you several pictures about the example of the before and later this protocol we put in fact. As key action of our protocol, and that are directly related, as you know, to the carbon balance and infiltration and health of the soil in the olive grove and in production of the olive oil. We can highlight the promotion of the implementation of vegetation cover, which has direct implication in increasing the sink potential of crop and reduce the loss of soil carbon. And depending on the type of the soil, water ability, crops condition, geographic area, climate, and so on, different types of vegetation cover can be used, of course, as you know. We could therefore choose between spontaneous plant cover, planted vegetation cover, mixed cover, or inert cover from plant and pruning remains. In this slide, we can see the example, an olive grove without cover, in the picture on the left before, and later with grass cover in the right, from one of our farmers who joined the protocol and later becomes an inspiration to the rest of the farmers, of course. In this picture, we can see a real example of plot using our protocol, where we develop and implement sustainable practices in olive growth, focuses on improving soil health, such as the conservation of native species, chopping or pruning residues, and their incorporation as organic matter into the soil, and manures application. And also, it's possible grazing in olive grove or enhance grazing in olive grove soil health and adding organic matter and reducing erosion or planting native species in olive grove. Boost biodiversity, as you know, and reduce erosion. And in this slide, we can see another photos showing the development of the biodiversity. An action such as the installation of nesting boxes, bee hotel, and drinker. Demonstrative biodiversity species, border plantation, the creation of ponds, and setup of high or maintenance of large trees. All these good practices, as you know, are good practice from academic institution, from organization, for university study, from all this practice is a general practice, but we only put in the middle from the farmers and the scientific community, and we promote this kind of practice. It's nothing new for you, but it's very new for the farmers that they are cultivation olive tree. For this reason, we have the commitment, or the absolute commitment, to push all this good practice in the real farmer. For example, in this slide, we can see also another example. All these good practices have a positive impact in biodiversity, are collected in demonstration spaces in the oil mill and serve as a sample for other farmers. This is very important because the farmers in general don't have access to the community report or the scientific report. And this is one very easy way to promote good practice. Put example very close to the farmer, to the mill, etc. And we also develop educational material to farmer and oil mills. This is the picture of the right. Another important aspect of our protocol is that we have our own field technician who play a key role as a link between the academic work, as I mentioned earlier, and the field, maintain daily contact with farmers. We also promote, of course, precision agriculture. Another important aspect, we move to the oil mill, because why is important oil mills or the mills? because the quality and the environment managed is very important, not only in the plot, is also very important in the mill, residuals, energy, water, etc. Why? Where we can talk about some action within the organization and people block, such as promotion of social activity that have a positive impact on society at the local level. Documentary report to cooperative, an investment plan, IT security, and training plan. Develop of the mill and improvement of the industrial part of the process to increase quality, designation a person in charge of sustainability or action in favor of equality. And regarding the quality and food safety, we should mention actions such as verification of the food grade conveyor. It's possible that this it could be very simple aspect, but also in this year we have problem with the conveyor. For this reason, it's very important to put clear that conveyor belt is another point to improve the mill. Verification, for example, cover reception hopper to reduce contamination from motor oil spill. As you know, we are in a crucial moment in European Commission or in Europe because one crucial contaminant for olive oil is MOSMOA, and this is the main point to reduce the concentration of olive oil, of MOA in olive oil. For this reason, it's very, very important to improve the cover reception hoppers. And of course, digitalization, continuous control of all the process parameters, mill 4.0, and upgrade reception and country yard of the mill. Regarding the efficient management of finite resources, water and energy, the actions are very simple. Measuring consumption, proposing saving action, and quantifying. It will look like simple, but it's very important. Repeat, and align the farmer or the olive oil manager or the olive oil mill manager in order to reduce water and energy, and use, for example, solar panel or other source of the energy. As an example of basic action regarding waste, this includes the proper management of hardos or non-hardened waste, and on the other hand, the utilization of byproducts. I mean circular economy, such as a compost plant or bone reuse for boiler feeding. And finally, in addition to the implementation of the protocol action, we have carried out a series of training sessions for farmers in order to, as I mentioned earlier, disseminate sustainable practices in Spain, Portugal, and Greece, for example, in these years. And now, in this slide, allow me to show you of the key achievement from 2018 until now for our protocol. Certification of 88 until now from our protocol, 88 cooperatives and mills. This cooperative cover more than 338,000 hectares of olive groves and representing over than 50,000 farmers with whom we collaborate to implement sustainable practices in 7 countries: Portugal, Spain, Italy, Tunisia, Greece, and finally, Argentina and Chile. In conclusion, Deoleo believes in the power of collaboration to drive sustainability in the olive oil sector. And for this reason, we joined Soil Olive. Our role in this project is to use our sustainability protocol as a tool to promote sustainable practices among farmers and olive mills. We also organize, as I mentioned earlier, a series of events and workshops to raise awareness about the project, share its findings, and introduce new sustainable practices that could transform the way olive oil is produced. Because this protocol is no block protocol, we are improving, continuous improving with your new idea, new investigation, new researches. We are proud of collaborating with the European Commission scientific and academic institution. Being part of Soil Olive is not just a decision that reinforces our commitment. It's a reflection of our value and our long-term vision for the olive oil sector, that we have the opinion that olive oil sector has very good opportunity in the future, very good chance in the future if we promote sustainability, quality, and healthy property of olive oil. And finally, I would like to conclude this speech with this slide, where we can see the statement of one of the farmers who left the cover crops. This serves to explain that the action we propose should not only be positive for the environment and have a positive economic and social impact, but they must also be adaptive and realistic, implementable in the daily life of farmers. It's not academic, one word is academic and another different word is farmers is real production. We can link both scenarios. And this is the reason for this slide. And this is all for my side. If there is a question, it will be a pleasure for me to answer the question. No question? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and congratulations for this protocol that is a frame of reference for this sector.
Thank you very much.
One question?
Thank you, Rafa, for this brilliant presentation, and also the initiative. I think it's something that will lead the sector in sustainability. I have no doubt about that. So, in your opinion, what is the next step regarding the protocol? What is your idea in 5 years with this protocol?
As I mentioned earlier, Antonio, we started this protocol like a connection between scientific and research project to the real farmers and olive mill. But from 2018 until now, the oil sector is changing, of course. Our opinion and absolute commitment is the olive oil sector has three very different aspects to the other edible oil. That are the first, health. Is the most healthy oil or edible oil in the world, first. The second is the possibility to help also the environment, but always if we use the best practice to respect the environment. And the third very good lever is that people enjoy consuming olive oil. And for this reason, it's very important. Sustainable practices, quality, very important of this raw material. And our company is absolutely convinced that we have to promote this aspect. For this reason, in this moment, this protocol is big, of course, but our intention is do it bigger and bigger. For this reason, now we are in the moment that for us, it will be a pleasure to share this protocol with the other company, with the other organization, with the other stakeholder of the sector, because the main purpose is to do it bigger and obtain a lot of raw material, olive oil in this case, with three aspects better: quality, flavor, and sustainable olive oil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for that. Thank you very much for the organization team for having me today. I'm very sorry I couldn't make it in person. So today I'm going to present a side project, a small side project that we're starting here in Cyprus. So I'm going to introduce myself first. I'm Nicolas Netien, environmental engineer, and I focus on soil biology, and specifically on the relationship between soil microbes and the root system of plants and trees. I design productive agro ecosystem, and I've been working since I came to Cyprus on olive growth. So a few years back, I was contacted by Elena Christoforos, who has a grove here in Cyprus. It was a family grove that was kind of semi-abandoned for almost 30 years. The only jobs that was done there was soil tilling every year, and the grove was in bad state. So I told her, yes, we can revive it, we can rebuild soil, we can make it productive again. We started with the organic certification, and already started straight away on focusing on soil, because I grow soil and then the trees grow themselves. So I told Elena that in my agro ecosystem, I like to use animals, especially when you're in dry environment, in order to accelerate carbon cycles. So if you do the classic chop and drop of ground cover, if you're in a dry environment, the decomposition of this ground cover will take a very long time because of the lack of humidity. So I prefer having animal managing this ground cover, so then they eat it, they poop, and then it goes much faster into building soil organic matter, which is really what we're trying to do. And my focus is really try to create drought resilience for those trees. So I told her, let's get animals. And she told me, yeah, of course, but I'm vegan, so we cannot kill any animals. And if you do have animals for production, it can be eggs, milk, meat, or whatever, you do have to kill animals. You don't keep geriatric animals that are not productive. So I thought about using geriatric animal instead. So we looked at, we spoke with an egg producer, sorry, and I asked him, what do you do with your chickens when they start to be unproductive? And he told me that after 2 years of laying eggs, the egg production is not quite right. The shell is either too small or they don't lay every day. So they go for slaughter, where they become dog food or other byproducts. And they're only 2 years old, and a chicken lives between 8 to 10 years old. So we say, okay, we'll take those. But then we had non-productive animals, and we had the issue of feeding them. And we were not ready to spend money on feed if we don't have a product. So we came up with the idea of feeding them with food waste. And it happens that in Cyprus, we have the European record of food waste per capita, with close to 300 kilos per person per year, which is really, really high. It's crazy. And if you look, Spain is almost all the way down. So you guys are doing very well there, not wasting too much. But in Cyprus is complete madness. And this waste end up in non-sanitary landfills. That means basically a hole in the ground. So every kilos of food waste that end up in those landfills, they create 2.1 kilos of CO2 equivalent, because they degrade, they create methane, and that's a huge effect on the planet. And in Cyprus, that's 756,000 tons of CO2 just from the food waste. And then, of course, you have other issues, leachate production, non-consumption, resource losses. Waste is a human invention. There's no waste in nature. It shows how dumb our systems are. So we started collecting food waste. We started with a small pilot project with a school here in Nicosia. We trained the kids and we started collecting food waste. And then we brought it to the farm, fed to the chickens. And in exchange, the chickens are fertilizing the trees. Because if you do organic farming here in Cyprus, most of the fertilizer you will get is basically pellets of chicken poo that comes from Italy or other countries. So we were importing chicken poo, which is a bit mad. So we decided to make our own. And we had other side effects with the chicken scratching. We noticed that they will have a drastic reduction of olive fly. Because when the olive fly enters the pupa stage, so after it leaves the fruits, the pupa stage happens in the ground. And chickens have a really impressive vision. They can see really tiny things. They see way more colors than us as well. So they will scratch and get those pupa out of the ground. So every places where we had chickens, we had less olive fly. So that's the story I just said. So that was the pilot project, junior and senior school. We had 800 kids. We're going there twice a week, about 75 kilos a week. We started with 200 chickens. And the first 200 chicken projects ended dramatically into a crazy slaughter when one day we had a bunch of stray dogs that came into the farm and basically killed all the chicken within 10, 15 minutes. We had dead chickens everywhere. So we upgraded, obviously. We got electric fencing. It's a net fencing that we get. And we are moving the chickens around. So we have mobile chicken coops and we're moving them around. So we don't want the chickens to be always at the same place. The key is rotational grazing. And that's for several reasons. First, to let the ground cover to recover, to grow back. And then also to avoid having too much nitrogen for the trees, because as you might know, when an olive tree has a lot of nitrogen, it will grow very well, it will be very happy, and then it won't produce any olives. So there's a right balance to be found into the right amount of chickens per meter square and per time. So the rotational is what we're trying to figure out at the moment. And we are looking for partners to help us with this agronomical study, because here in Cyprus it's very difficult. We don't have access to leaf analysis and things like this. But I think we're getting close to start a proper agronomical study. So what we noticed, as I said before, was a drastic reduction of olive fly. But on this farm, we implemented another strategy, which is a zero-kill strategy. So there's no use of pesticide, organic or non-organic, no pesticide at all. The only products used for pest control is a mineral called zeolite, which is sprayed on the trees and create a biofilm around the fruit so the olive fly doesn't bite it. It works as well as any other organic strategies. And what we noticed there is after the chicken passes, we have a bigger diversity of ground cover. So we have a lot of different native plants, flowers, etc., that are growing, much more diversity. And thanks to the zero-kill policy, now we're entering the third season of that policy. We've seen a drastic improvement in biodiversity in general. So it started with insects. We're having spiders absolutely everywhere. It's Halloween every day in the grove. And then all sorts of wild bees and other insects. And that brought more birds. We have rabbits that have returned, white rabbits. Obviously, the fox followed closely behind. We have snakes everywhere, lizards everywhere. It has been booming. So we went to a semi-abandoned grove that was struggling with drought resilient to a really healthy grove that is producing every year. Despite the droughts we got here in Cyprus, we're in a catastrophic drought event. All the reservoirs are empty. They are bringing desalination plan in emergency to get the hotels and the tourists some water. We do have irrigation, but we do deficit irrigation. So in the summer, we barely water. And that's another advantage of zeolite. It acts a bit like a sunscreen. So we have a little bit less water stress. But the real factor of drought resilience for the tree is the complex, diverse microbiome on the root system that allow for better utilization of water, and obviously the increase of soil organic matter, in the soil. Just to put that in perspective, if you increase by 1%, you get by between 188,000 all the way to 380,000 liters of water storage per hectare increase, and that depends on your soil type. In Akaki, in Cyprus and the specific farm, which is in Akaki, we are on the top end of that spectrum. Reuters came, did the story. It went absolutely global. It went viral. Everyone talked about it. It's a feel-good story. We took retired hands, so we have the animal welfare aspect to it. We're feeding food waste. So it's a perfect example of circular economy that ticks all the right boxes. So it went absolutely everywhere. This is basically what I said. We measure the carbon impact. So we have the capacity of removing 920 tons of CO2 equivalent, and this is on a 40 hectares farm. So that's quite small. I did some calculations just before as I was listening to the previous speaker. If they were implementing a kind of system like that in their farms, we will be talking about 105 million chickens and 15 million tons of food per year. So it has a potential to grow. So yeah, the farm is a living laboratory for regenerative agriculture. This is what we do. Right now we have a grazing pattern of 30 days, and we are moving the units of 300 hens at the time. We have a low density of chickens. It's about twice less dense than free-range egg farming. As I said before, increased soil organic matter enhance the soil structure. So we have a better infiltration when it rains. And that's a very important aspect because thanks to climate change, rain pattern has changed. So globally here in Cyprus and all across the Middle East, but it's very true in many other places, we're getting a bit less rainfall. We lost about 20% over the last 30 years. But not only that, we are getting this rainfall in a fewer rain events. That means it doesn't rain, it pours. And having the right soil structure and the right ground cover and the right root system, because not all ground cover are equal. So you need a really big, deep root system in order to infiltrate that water as deep as you can, store it where it belongs in your soil. It's crucial. It's crucial to make the most of every single drop of water. And because they come in really heavy rain event, it's very, very important to get the right soil. And when you do so, you get the water in the winter when the tree needs it the most, so it's ready to get into flowering mode and then fruit bearing. Once the fruit is set and the pip's quite hard, you don't need that much water for olive trees. So no synthetic fertilizer. There's no need for them. Synthetic fertilizer are basically salts, and they're very limited in what they bring into the soil. They're focusing mostly on NP and K. We are eliminating those completely, and everything related to the impact, the energy consumption. You know, ammonia is made with gas, nitrate runoff, water pollution, etc., etc. So we're closing the loop, and we are truly creating a self-sustained agroecosystem. Then obviously you have the ethical animal welfare. So those chicks living a really happy retirement life in low density, always outside. When they arrive, they don't really look like the chicken you imagine. You know, they don't really scratch. They don't know how to, although they don't come from cage farming. Those guys come from free range farming. But free range farming doesn't mean they have access to a very natural environment. You just need an outside area. So they don't have access to grass or things like that. Now, after a week or two, feathers are growing back, and then they start scratching, and then they start their natural bird behavior. Obviously, there's an education and community engagement because we are training those kids. We're trying to, in a culture, in a Cypriot culture, where wasting food it's a normal thing. And if you go to any restaurant here, you'll understand. We're training the kids to understand what does it mean to waste food. And we're training them to show how food is grown as well, and how hard it is to grow food and how important it is not to waste it. And we're trying to get them to understand that waste is not normal. Waste, again, it's a human invention. There's no waste in nature. Everything gets go back to the system. So we go beyond just food waste. We talk about waste in general. So the capacity on the farm is 12,000 chicks with 438,000 kilos of food waste that can be removed from the landfill, and about 920 thousand kilos of CO2 can be saved per year. So it's a small impact, but that's on 40 hectares. What we're trying to create here is a blueprint. It's an operational blueprint that we can duplicate on farmers. And we've seen farmers starting implementing chickens here in Cyprus. Not so much to feed them food waste, but to have also an extra income. These the eggs. So now that slide is a bit old. We have more chickens. We are trying to really grow, and we're trying to fill up the entire capacity of the farm with that system. So it needs some infrastructure, but it's a very light infrastructure. So mobile grazing unit, that's the first one on the picture you have. We have better designs now. And then it's a relationship in finding the waste. That's the easy bit. Waste is everywhere, and everyone's is willing to give it away, and they're actually willing to separate it, because we don't really have a culture of separating waste here in Cyprus. It's just starting. It's not like other part of Europe where it's been decades when people started sorting waste. So I'm not going to go back to that. We, again, carbon emission, water cycle management, reduction of agriculture input, and biodiversity enhancement. And we forget often the ecosystem services that flourishing biodiversity can create. And especially when it comes to pest control. Those spiders everywhere. Wherever we have spiders, we don't have only flies coming in. Okay, so I see that I have 1 minute left. So social education benefits. And then we went to find some sponsorship, because especially for the logistics in collecting that waste. So we did all sorts of sponsorship, partnership for companies, for CSR and stuff, but we are in the wrong country and no one really showed interest. So we make packages, communication plans, etc., etc. So we are looking to find more partners locally in order to be able to scale. And that's me. That's some pictures of the farm, and you can contact me here. I think I'm right on time. I can't hear anything, so please talk to me.
Nicolas, thank you for your presentation.
It's okay. Good afternoon. As my colleague, Professor Murgado Armentero said, my name is Manuela Vega Zamora. I'm Associate Professor of Marketing and Market Research at the University of Jaén and researcher at INUO. In this session, I'm going to talk about the eco-innovation in the olive oil industry. This is a new research line in which the research group Marketing UJA is working in the last times. Today, my presentation is focused on a study that was carried out in the context of a further research project, and a few days ago has been accepted to be published as an original paper in the Business Strategy and the Environment. Okay, as an introduction, prior to the objectives, it's important to know that consumers are becoming increasingly aware of the scarcity of natural resources and the potentially devastating consequences of the climate change for the environment, the economy, society, and even human health. As a result, consumers are demanding a greater environmental responsibility from companies in their business activities. For these reasons, environmental innovation has gained significant importance in the recent years. According to the literature, eco-innovation has a positive impact on all types of company outcomes, and therefore represents an important strategic challenge. It is also important to highlight that we are in a political and legal environment where initiatives related to environmental protection and sustainable protection and consumption are priorities. We can mention the common agricultural policy, the European Green Deal, even sustainable development goals. This challenge is particularly relevant in agri-food systems, one of the most resource-intensive sectors. And the olive oil sector is a case in point. It is in constant growth worldwide in terms of the cultivated area, production, and consumption. As all of us know, Spain is the world's leading producer of olive oil, and within Spain, the autonomous region of Andalusia is particularly important. So the sector is therefore highlighted strategic for both the country and the region, not only for its economic significance, but also for its social, environmental, and territorial importance. It is, however, characterized by the generation of large quantities of waste and byproducts. In this regard, promoting a more environmentally innovative and sustainability agri-food industry is essential. The olive oil sector will view the challenge of eco-innovation as an opportunity to become more competitive, sustainable, and market-oriented. In this context, the main objective of this study is to analyze whether this key agro-industrial sector, with its considerable economic weight and environmental impact, has adopted eco-innovation as a strategy to meet social and political demands, while also contributing to environmental preservation and improving business performance. Specifically, the study aims to assess the current state of the eco-innovation adoption in the primary olive oil processing industry and develop a global eco-innovation indicator. Also identify the types of eco-innovation adopted and identify and characterize groups of mills with different adoption levels based on internal variables and behaviors. To achieve these proposed objectives, a structured questionnaire was used. Here you can see the methodological details. The questionnaire was developed on the basis of a literature review and a prior qualitative study. The qualitative study was conducted using focus groups with managers from Andalusian olive oil mills. Regarding the first objective, the current state of eco-innovation adoption in the olive oil sector, this figure shows that out of the total of 20 environmental actions that companies can undertake, the maximum achieved is 14. Moreover, the most frequent number of eco-innovation implemented by mills is 4, and the average number of eco-innovation stands at 5.58. This result shows the low level of environmental innovation in olive oil industry. On the other hand, this table shows the typology of eco-innovations adopted in the sector. we can observe that process-related eco-innovations are the most extensively developed, whereas product and marketing-related initiatives remain the least adopted. To identify groups of mills based on their environmental actions, a key means cluster analysis was performed. We can identify 4 groups. As we can see, there are no significant differences between groups in actions related to the use of recycled and eco-friendly materials. Under this consideration, the first group, called environmentally responsible, characterized by its focus on actions related to collection service provided to farmers. The group number 2 is considered the most eco-innovative because not only focus on actions related to its collection service provided to farmers, also has good ratings across most other categories. The third group represents the passive mills. This group is characterized by their limited adoption of environmental actions. Finally, Group 4 is primarily focused on monitoring consumption, emissions, and energy self-generation, supply, and conservation. So this is the group of footprint mills. Once we identify the 4 groups on the basis of their adopted eco-innovations, these are the profiles of each group based on different internal and behavioral variables. To characterize the groups of mills, hypothesis tests were used. As you can see, the environmentally responsible group is composed mainly of cooperatives or agricultural processing societies. SAT. They tend not to be integrated into larger groups, collaborate little with external stakeholders, are relatively large compared with other groups, and nearly half produce organic extra virgin olive oil. They also report few perceived barriers to adoption. The eco-innovative group also consists largely cooperatives or SATs, but over half are integrated into second-tier cooperatives or business groups. Most of these mills are smaller, produce little organic extra virgin olive oil, perceive few obstacles to adoption, and nearly half collaborate with research centers and participate in research projects. The passive group are not usually cooperative. SATs or integrated tend to be smaller, produce little organic extra virgin olive oil, generally don't collaborate with research centers or participate in research groups, and perceive considerable barriers to adoption. Finally, the footprint group is composed mainly of larger mills, likely the largest overall, but they also tend not to be organized as cooperative or SATs, not to form part of a larger group. Almost half produce organic extra virgin olive oil and collaborate with other stakeholders, yet they are the most likely to perceive obstacles to implementing environmental solutions. These findings allow us to conclude. First, the adoption levels of eco-innovation in the olive oil sector are currently low. the average number of environmental actions implemented is fewer than 6 out of a possible 20. This highlights the early stage of eco-innovation adopted in the sector. This highlights the early and emphasizes the need to promote its potential advantages. According to the 4 groups of mills with different degrees of eco-innovation, there are 3 variables that seem to be key in the adoption of environmental innovations. They are cooperative or SAT status, integration into second-tier or cooperatives or business groups, and collaborate with other stakeholders. Lastly, we can conclude the limited role of product eco-innovations. This is surprising given that such innovations are typically more visible and easier to communicate to end consumers, who also demand this type of attributes in products. A possible explanation of that is the relatively low market orientation of the Spanish olive oil sector. That is, according to the prior literature, eco-innovation efforts in Spain are more driven by regulatory incentives than by market force. This study has important implications. From an academic perspective, this research contributes to the ongoing exploration of eco-innovation in the agri-food industry by analyzing the degree of adoption within a highlight strategic sector. This analysis is pioneering, as the degree of eco-innovation in the sector has not previously been addressed in the literature. From a managerial perspective, the findings provide deeper insights into key pillars of the Spanish economy, environment, and society, highlighting both strengths and weaknesses in eco-innovation. Such awareness can guide mills in aligning their actions more efficiently with market demands, thereby enhancing competitiveness and sustainability. Broader adoption of eco-innovation strategies will strengthen mills' competitive in 2 ways. The first one, by achieving efficiency gains and reducing both economic and environmental costs through sustainable processes and systems. And the second one, by differentiating their action, service, and products through hidden attributes of environmental stewardship that are increasingly valued by consumers. For public administration, the research underscores the need for awareness campaigns within the sector to emphasize the importance of integrating eco-innovations into business strategies beyond merely complying with legal regulations. In this regard, programs to promote technical training will likewise be beneficial. Also, beyond this role in promoting sustainable activities, action is needed in terms of financial incentives. Improvements in regulatory standards, investment in public interest, R&D infrastructures, and the promotion of human resources in training. So, a more sustainable business model requires coordinated efforts from both the private and public sectors. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm available for your questions.
Manuela, for your presentation.
And congrats for the initiative. As Eva said, I'm going to present a study about consumers' preferences towards sustainable attributes in extra virgin olive oil. Well, I'm coming from IFAPA and also collaborated with the University of Córdoba. Well, the presentation will be, well, classical in terms of introduction, methods, results, discussion, and conclusions. The first thing that we thought when we started to think about this project and this research was, well, something that it's made clear here in the previous presentation by Rafael, for example, that there is more and more, there is a growing preference from the market and from the consumers for sustainable food products. And the idea is not only food products, but all products in general. So consumers are more and more looking for products that have attributes related to environmental, and not only environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability, providing that economic sustainability is achieved. And we have many examples in the olive oil market in Spain and internationally, not only by flagship companies like, for example, Castillo de Canena, but also cooperatives like Oleo Estepa. We have a flagship initiative like Olivares Vivos in Jaén. So we have more and more examples of the sector being aware of these demands, and also internationally like Monini, or, well, we have many examples. The thing is, consumers are more and more looking for products that have these environmental sustainability attributes inside, and specifically in the olive oil sector, we can see that also. So, well, this is said to be within the umbrella of green consumerism or eco awareness. And the idea is that people have utility from purchasing and consuming these type of products. And we've seen that in the literature. So this is a credence attribute. So the consumer has to believe that the producer is doing that in the way they are informing. So there is no way that the consumer can guarantee or can see and demonstrate these attributes. So it's important, the trust that the consumer has on the producers, and it's very good that this presentation is after the presentation of Rafael, because it is on the trustworthy of the consumers and the producers where all these initiatives rely. The thing is that we have many examples of labels like organic production and also on other labels related to water and carbon footprints. But we saw that there are still knowledge gaps about certain attributes related to circular bioeconomy. So basically relating not only to water and carbon footprints, but also on what producers do with wastes, other attributes that still are unstudied. So this is the main objective of the study, so analyze the consumer's preferences towards circular bioeconomy attributes in extra virgin olive oil. And this is published in this study with my colleagues Ruben Granado and Melania Salazar. So basically what I'm going to do is to wrap up the main results here. But if you're interested in it, I can provide the publication, or you can see it on the web. We use a stated preference method, so it's a survey-based method, combining, well, in a novel approach, combining monetary and non-monetary evaluation. Monetary relying on contingent valuation, and non-monetary relying on bestward scaling choice experiments. And the idea behind combining them is that we wanted to analyze so many attributes that it was difficult to do it in just one exercise. So this has been done before, but separately, contingent valuation for analyzing or estimating the premium price that the consumers would pay for this kind of attributes, and also using bestward scaling as a non-monetary evaluation to see the relative changes in utility for consumers. But it was novel in the way that we combined them to try to estimate the premium price that the consumers would pay for each of the attributes. As I said, so we have included 7 attributes for the case study of Andalusian consumers of extra virgin olive oil of 1 liter of a glass bottle. As a modeling approach, I will not go into detail, but we use a scale-adjusted latent class models because we were especially focused on heterogeneity of preferences, and the sample was representative for the Andalusian population of more than 1,000 respondents, and it was an online survey. So the 7 attributes that we included was 2 related to waste management, plastic and bio-waste, 1 related to carbon neutrality, another related to the sustainable use of water, soil, and biodiversity, and another related more on social sustainability related to the contribution of the producers and the olive mills to the rural economy. This is an example of the bestward scaling choice experiment. So we were asking which is the attribute that the respondent was more willing to pay for, and the least and the attribute that they were the least willing to pay in trios. So this was repeated in different combinations of attributes. This is for the relative utility estimation. And for the contingent valuation estimation, so we asked them how much they would pay separately for each of the attributes, and also for 1 liter of extra virgin olive oil in a glass bottle with the 7 attributes, like it is shown in this slide. So the main results from this latent class model is that, well, first, we found that it is highly significant with a CDR square of 0.3, which in this kind of regressions it would be like in a normal regression 0.7, 0.8. And so it has a high predictive power, and actually all the coefficients are significant for each of the attributes. So the reference is the bio-waste management, or the neutrality in bio-waste, or zero bio-waste production, because it was the least preferred. So the other, that's why all the coefficients are positive. We find there are more things, some more methodological things that it would be good to say, but I don't think that is interested in this case, which is related to the choice uncertainty. Sorry. Which is related to the choice uncertainty between best and worst choices. But going directly, so from the modeling that I have shown, you can translate this in impact score or utility, relative utility for each of the attributes. And so it's easier to present. So we find one class, which is, we have called them sustainable agrarians, which is they have more utility if the extra virgin olive oil is incorporated, or if there is an attribute related to rural contribution and water management, and also biodiversity. And so we have called them sustainable agrarians. There is another more focus on circularity, especially on plastic waste management and carbon sequestration, and also water management. Another class of respondents, of consumers of extra virgin olive oil, which they pay attention on most of the attributes that we show them, especially the environmental ones. And the last class we call them utilitarians, because they especially paid attention on rural contribution of the production of extra virgin olive oil and plastic waste management. So we translated this utility ranking into monetary terms with the results of the continued evaluation, estimating a bit more than €1 per liter of glass bottle extra virgin olive oil if the bottle or if the production has incorporated the 7 attributes. And the attributes, well, there are some classes, so there is a heterogeneity between the classes. So one, for example, the core functionals would be paid more, €133 per bottle of premium price. But if we go into each of the attributes, especially plastic waste management and water sustainable use, sorry. So the price premium will be around 0.2, 0.21. And on the other side, if the bottle includes an attribute related to bio-waste management, the premium would be much lower, of 7 cents. Well, so if we translate this in relative terms above the average price at the survey date, which was 4.5 euros liter, so it would mean 26% of premium price, which is on par with the premium price for the organic in Andalusia at that moment, and also the premium price shown for sustainable food products in a meta-analysis of some colleagues. So we have seen the intense preferences for water and plastic before in the literature. We have also seen that eco-functionals and utilitarians, so these groups have been previously identified by literature, but not, so it's the first time that it is identified, these 2 other classes of consumers, sustainable agrarians and circulars. We have some and more results about the heterogeneity, so what are the characteristics of each class, but I don't have time to do it, but you have in the publication. So the thing is, so there are intense preferences for circular bioeconomy attributes in extra virgin olive oil. We've seen it in the market, and we can also see it in studies like this. It is heterogeneous depending on the attributes, depending on the respondent, but it's good to have this in mind. And actually, if we can identify the class that we would target on the market with, for example, with the information that I have said about characteristics of the respondents, the company will have an incentive to try to target them and go on to ask them for this premium price, providing that these attributes are included. So in that sense, it will be good, this information, to support decision-making at a business scale. And yeah, basically, not only it would mean a value added that is paid in the market, but also there is a value added on the image of the corporation in terms of, companies, in this case, olive oil sector companies, going towards the sustainability. And this has a value. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to respond to questions.
Good afternoon, really. Thank you so much for the invitation, and thank you so much. And congrats for the conference. The contents I could follow until the moment were really interesting. So in these 10 minutes I have, I want to share with you the olive oil from Spain R&D strategic plan. We are a tool for the sector to guarantee the future. So my presentation have two parts. The main part is the strategic plan. The second is some of the samples of the projects we are running in this moment. First of all, I'm going to focus on the strategic plan. And just for the ones that don't speak English so fluently, permit me to speak some words in Spanish. Buenos días a todos los que a lo mejor con el inglés los manejéis tan bien. Simplemente quería comentaros que en mi presentación del plan estratégico vais a ver que las diapositivas están tanto en inglés como en español para facilitar el seguimiento y, por supuesto, para las preguntas que queráis hacerme si hubiera tiempo al final. So I turn back to English, and I want to explain you that our strategic plan have these 5 parts. First of all, 4 focus on the main topics, and a 5th one focus on market monitoring. The blocks of the strategic plans are agronomy, technology, health, and others. In the agronomy section, we have the following 5 lines: sustainability and climate change adaptation, water use, agricultural mechanization, improvement of treatment and in the olive grove, and genetic improvement. In the first line, sustainability and climate change adaptation, we have several studies and projects. First one is harvesting at the optimal stage of ripeness. Second, development of climate resilient varieties. Third, environmental footprint assessment sustainability metrics. And fourth, the future of traditional olive groves. In the line of water use, where we focus on efficiency and conservation, we work on digitalization of irrigated agriculture and on the use of renewable energy and reuse of reclaimed water. For the agricultural mechanization, we are interested in development of more efficient machinery for olive harvest across the systems, traditional, intensive, and super intensive, on mechanized and manual pruning tailor of each system, on automatization of the weed clearing in the grove, and to study the efficient and cost-effective hydraulic lubricants for machinery. In the improvement and treatments in the olive grove, we are more focused in development of pre-commercial formulation of antagonist microorganisms for the biocontrol and airborne olive diseases, improve efficiency in phytosanitary treatments in the olive grove. Also are interested in the development of the comprehensive automated and intelligent system of monitoring and controlling the olive fruit fly, and verifying the authorized active substances or new active substances. In the genetic improvement, we are working in verticillium well-resistant varieties and also the development of new varieties. In the technology block, the working lines are sensory evaluation systems for virgin olive oils, authenticity and purity, improvement of productivity and cost efficiency, and valorization of byproducts from virgin olive oil production. In sensory evaluation systems, we are focused on improvement on the application of the panel test. We are working on the project Global Dimensions in Olive Oil, and also development of sensors for classify virgin olive oils at the mill. On authenticity and purity, methods for detecting fraudulence. On improvement, the productivity and cost efficiency, we have 5 points. Advanced extraction techniques to maximize oil yield and minimize waste. Improvement of extraction processes at mills to maximize phytochemical content in virgin olive oils. A study of max selection techniques, machinery, time, temperature, in relation with chlorophyll content and other organoleptic attributes such as fruitness, intensity, automation of processes and systems, and improvement of energy efficiency, reducing energy consumption in extraction processes, using more efficient technologies and renewable energies that can be easily implemented without high installation costs. On the valorization of byproducts for virgin olive oil production, we have four working lines or projects. First of all is alternative methods for managing byproducts and waste. Second, development of new industrial processes for olive formats to obtain a base of animal feed. Valorization of agricultural byproducts as soil remedies, use of byproducts to improve agricultural soil health, and finally, biosupport technology for valorization of agri-food waste and biomass, olive oil industry waste, full extract. On the block of health, we have three working lines: the studies of health benefits of olive oils, studies of new health claims, and labeling and the improvement of the labeling. In the studies on the health benefits of olive oils, we are already working on a study on osteoarthritis. Also, we are working on the cardioprotective effect of olive oil. We have been, during years, working on fight against breast cancer, and also combat the effects of contaminants on health. And finally, we are open to new studies in this working line, and also in the line of new health claims, where is a topic of huge interest for the sector. Finally, in the improvement of labeling, the front of package classification of olive oils is always in our mind, since Nutri-Score was put on the table, and we are hoping to have in the future, if it's confirm the relation of this kind of labeling, that olive oil has the correct and the properly classification. In the space of others, we have other lines that are not included in the first three blocks. For example, we have pollution migration measures. We study possible sources of most contamination and preparing good practice guide. We work on mitigation measures, technical solution, and analytical methods, and measuring equipment. And in the value chain working line, we are working on improving product valorization and fair distribution of value along the olive oil production chain. And we work for transparency instruments for the sector. Finally, shelf-life of virgin olive oils. We studied the shelf-life depending on varieties or other quality parameters to determine best before date. And here we work also with possible collaboration with IOC. Finally, market monitoring. We monitoring the evolution of target markets with special attention to sector priority markets. Also monitor the evolution of prices of other vegetable oils, study viable mechanisms for actions aimed to stabilizing the market, and also have been working on regulatory harmonization. As some examples, I share with you that, for example, we participate in Live Olivares Vivos Plus in the agronomy section. This project, following the success of the previous Olivares Vivos, seeks to reply the model in other regions in Spain and other Mediterranean countries, such as Portugal, Greece, or Italy, and also to apply to another crops, including table olives. Another working line we are developing is the evaluation of the use of plant-based hydraulic oils as an alternative to conventional ones in harvesting machinery. And we are also working in the development of new varieties, and also finishing the guidelines of good practices. In technology, the Global Dimensions in Olive Oil project that I'm sure several of you already know. We are working to use the instrumental technologies and develop classification models in order to complement the analytical method panel tests. And we are optimizing models by using neural nets. Now we have also run a study to detect hydrocarbons levels in different parts of the fluid in order to identify and determine possible origins of these compounds in olive oils and pomace olive oil. And this is one of the studies launched to answer FDA recommendations. Finally, in health block, we have the Life Breast project. This is a project already completed, but we are still following the effect on the women that has been studied. We study whether the Mediterranean or low-fat diet could reduce the breast cancer recurrence in women diagnosed early. And we, although the project, we continue to collaborate and collect data on quality of life and tumor cell progression of these women. Finally, the EpiOsteoMed is a study underway focusing on the research of epigenetic biomarkers related to the prevention of osteoarthritis through the Mediterranean diet enriched with olive oil. So this is several of the examples we are running nowadays. There are other projects that we are starting right now. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Teresa, for your participation in the Congress. We have some minutes to any question for Teresa. Any question? Teresa, one question. How communicate the interprofessional the effort in sustainability of the companies? What is action to do? Can you hear us? Teresa?
Sí. ¿Me escucháis?
Yes. One question. How communicate the interprofessional the effort in sustainability that realize the companies? What actions to do?
I'm so sorry because I don't understand quite well the question, because I think you're asking me about how we are doing to communicate. I'm not sure if you are talking to community to the consumer or to communicate to the sector, but I answer both of the questions. We include sustainability as one of the pillars of communication to the consumer. Our communication is based on 3 pillars: taste, health, and sustainability. So it's very important to transmit to the consumer, to already hard consumer of olive oils, these aspects that make the difference. Not only the best use of water or the fix of carbon of the atmosphere, or also the biodiversity of the olive groves. All of these contents have been included in our campaigns, particularly in markets that are very sensible on that information, such, for example, Germany. So we go deep inside of the contents to explain how rich is the olive grove and how much already the olive oil sector do to preserve and to make it sustainable, not only by an environmental point of view, but also by an economic and social point of view.
Thank you.
And on the,
yes.
on the other hand, regarding the sector, we have been working in the past on the carbon footprint, and we are very in touch with the International Olive Council and all the working they are doing to have a homogeneous tool for the whole sector to calculate the fix of carbon in the rows.
Okay, action very interesting. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you for participating in the Congress.
Thank you to you.
Okay, I still think it's morning, so let's say good morning, everybody. Pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you very much for attending, everybody. My name is Niklas Sannebro, and as been introduced, I'm director of what we call strategic operations, which gives me the privilege to do this type of really interesting projects, amongst others. I wanted to talk about, we could call it a case study of a project that we have done with blockchain technology, very much aimed at translate to the consumers in a trustworthy way all these initiatives that we see in terms of sustainability, in terms of making good quality, sustainable olive oil. So for this challenge, I believe that Rafa already have talked about Deoleo. You probably know Deoleo. Just wanted to make a few points regarding more this project. On one hand is the amount of countries where we are. We have to look at the consumer that could come from about 70 countries. So it's a great international variety when we look at the type of the consumer. And then also in terms of our brands, you know, we have two of our brands like Bertol in Italy and Carbonell in Spain. They're both celebrating about 160 years of age now. So we have a great brand equity also. It's a very important asset for the company. So we need to make sure that we protect this equity, and we don't have any risk of any problem with any of the brands. So therefore, it's very important that we have very clear quality and quality communication. Okay, so going into the project, I think that I'm actually going to start here. We, in around 2019, 2020, we decided in Deoleo to move from having sustainability as sort of a separate silo and to move it into what we would call our corporate strategy. So we felt that with the type of product we had, with the type of heritage we have, we cannot have a corporate strategy that do not include sustainability. Doing this, we also focused here on 4 pillars, right? So we want to show that these pillars, when we talk about growing together, it's very much related to what Rafa talked about, our relation with the producer, with the responsible supply chain. The blending with love is very much related to our product, how we do things, what the type of quality we have. The caring for you is much related to how we can translate to the consumer ways of health, ways of caring for the planet, for the environment. And then finally, the responsible business, which is more into the social side, you know, which being the area of having ethics in our business. Okay, but so what we saw when we did all of this is that basically to be able to translate these first 2 pillars, that growing together and blending with love, we felt that the traceability of the product, the origin of the product, the characteristics of the product was very important and very useful tool as a vehicle to execute the strategy. So, based on this, we thought, okay, we need to develop some solution that can bring to the consumer in a good way the traceability of the product. Here, before getting into much further, this is very much a tool we have done oriented. Sorry, we have to go to this one. So before we actually started, we did a diagnostic, right? So in order to see what type of traceability we wanted to do, right? And this is interesting because we have seen here, first, it's really the consumer demand. Really, it's answering to here consumer worries, like we can see that 75, there are of course many studies, but we see studies talking about a great amount of the consumers do not trust the product information. So this is the first problem, that even though we feel that we have important brands, the consumer do not trust the producers anymore. So we need something more, right? On the other hand, we see, and it's great to have seen, I will update my studies here because we can see here that same things, that the consumer are willing to choose a sustainable product or a product with an origin, and they're also prepared to pay some sort of a premium price, you know, for this thing. So we could see that when we started in this diagnostic to see what type of solution should we take, we can see that on one hand we have a clear consumer demand that we should work on. The second is also to create a sustainable ecosystem, because what's going to see here is that we also are connecting in the value chain, because as we're going to see, the producer, the mill, they are also having a very important role here. We have also been talking to the next step, which are the retailers. So we're looking at, you know, making a system that can more connect into an ecosystem. Then obviously it's a part that we can see, it's a product fraud. There are also a lot of our studies, you know, showing that olive oil, unfortunately, is one of the products that has the highest level of fraud, you know, the typical fraud that an extra virgin is not actually an extra virgin. And then finally, which when we talk about control and quality alerts, you know, that we can get down from a very long time to identify batches to a very fast if there is a problem. But what we really saw was that there is a question about trust or lack of trust, and there is a great interest to know the origin of the product. So based on that, we looked at the solution. So what type of solution have we seen? We can see that, okay, we really enter in the value chain buying oil from the mills, right? And then we leave it to the retailers. So where we wanted to focus and to keep this in a sort of a very simple manner, we focused on 2 points. That that we could show in an independent way that all the oil that entered was actually what it was supposed to be, in this case extra virgin, or an extra virgin with, you know, bio, or an extra virgin with the protocol that we have shown, right? And everything that left our company is also an extra virgin. All this validated by external people, okay? So, and that's where the blockchain came in, right? So it's really to say that, okay, this is like this, and you can see it, and it's not because I say it, it's because on one hand, the one who is our provider uploads the information to show that this is actually an extra virgin, and then going out, the finished product is certified by a certified laboratory to show that, okay, this is actually an extra virgin. So in that sense, we wanted to get this, these 2 pillars, okay? So with those 2, let's say, hard facts, we also added on, and we are going to see the solution, with more what we can talk about, the storytelling about the oil, because we think that if these are very much sort of talking about the trust, the other part is to talk about the journey and the product, because I think that, you know, we all agree that the olive oil is a very specific product, and there's still a lot of information about the product that is good for the consumer to know in order to be more interested in the product. So in that sense, what we did in the solution is, first we developed a QR code. It's a QR code that is individual for each bottle. It's like a number for each bottle. So what we had to do with the labels was not just print them normally, they do a second printing with an individual QR code. So by scanning this QR code, the consumer, this was a second area, very important, that they can scan it without having to download any application, or they don't have to enter any batch number. They just scan and you get directly into the bottle, because if not, it's a very low response rate from the consumer. Okay, so once you're in, and I think it should work, so you could try to scan it, or if you see the presentation, I think it's been distributed. Okay, we talk about the journey. So first thing is to talk about the origin. And in terms of the origin, what you see there is actually where it has been produced. So we can see which is the mill that has produced the oil. And if you also click, you get to a PDF where you can see the document that the producer, the mill, the almazar, or the producer have uploaded, where they guarantee the quality. So that is the uploaded document, the very document that they have uploaded to the blockchain. Then where we go from the origin and to verify the origin, we also get to the second, is the quality certificate from the laboratory, so the finished product, okay, that it also responds to all of this. Then we get to talk about the variety, so we have that on an individual basis, exactly what olives have been used in this specific bottle, because over the year it can vary. So here we get into what we talk about, the more consumer educating part, right? To show them, okay, so it's these olives have this characteristic. We can see the characteristic of this specific blend. And then finally, which we have not seen here, is that you also can see all the type of certificates that we have put in. So in this sense, just what Rafa talked about, you can see that this Hojiblanca actually is part of our sustainability protocol. And also, if there would have been a biologica, and then you could see that it has the certificate also. So you get the full information of the product, and we try to do it in a way that can also help the consumer to grow their interest in the product and grow their interest in quality olive oil, and to start to think about, you know, like perhaps people used to be more interested in maybe wines, you know, about what is the grapes, what is the origin, and so on, because we believe that doing so, people will appreciate more quality products, and they will be more interested in the olive oil as a product, no? And obviously for Deoleo, for our way to show our products. Where are we then? We started this in 2022 with this, as you saw, the Oda bottle for Maestros de Hojiblanca. We have now already in 3 of our main brands, in Maestros de Hojiblanca, Carapelli, Carbonell, and this poorly spelled. And then we are now in 4 key markets. We're in Spain, in France, in USA, and Canada. We are also entering in Italy right now. And we have the idea to expand this, not just to any premium brands or any premium products, but really to be a mainstream part of our products in all our main countries and all our main products. It's, by the way, part of our sustainability strategy, one of the goals for 2030. Already now we have about 30% of our total production of extra virgin olive oil with this type of the QR code. So, summing up, we believe truly that doing these type of initiatives pays off very well because it really creates a competitive advantage for the product. So it's something that we feel that we do, it's a win-win. We think it's something that is good for the consumer, but we also clearly think that it's something that is good for the company that is doing it. It's important as an indicator, and for more of the industry that do, we will also reduce the fraud in the industry. It's a way of, having an out of control. Also, it's good because it can foster this type of ecosystem. When we talk about ecosystem, it's interesting because first, when we started to talk, we started with some of the cooperatives here in Spain, and we talked with them about it. What do you think about it? Is this? We were feeling that maybe it's going to be hard to get people interested, but they were like, no, but it's great because now people are going to see that we actually supply this oil. We're never seen, you guys always just come with your brands, but here you're actually going to see that, this is Olio Stepa or who has actually produced it. So it was a good response, and in this sense, I think it's a way of bridging perhaps the gaps between the different parts of the value chain. And for us, it's been really, and we still think that it's a benchmark for this type of product information that is unmutable and transparent from the consumer side. So that was the case study of the Deoleo blockchain traceability project. Thank you.
Thank you, Niklas. Any question for Niklas?
Yeah.
Over. No. One moment. Over here.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all of the speakers because I think you're giving great presentations, and I think we're having a very interesting journey, so thank you so much. And I would like to ask you about what kind of information do you think that consumers value most when scanning a QR code?
Yeah, actually, we do analysis on, what type of, where people spend time, and so naturally, that's what the marketing department is, getting into. So we see that I believe that the origin of the quality to see actually, the certifications. So when we started this product, many times when you talk about traceability, you think about the region, it's to see what's inside. But very much we came into the idea that it was the trust. So for me, it is very much the trust issue that is perhaps the most important part. I was talking to a German guy that was working with this from another perspective, not with the olive oil, but in the food industry, and he talked very much about that. If you want to have the origin and to have these sort of attributes of the product, if you don't do it in a trustworthy way, it doesn't really matter all the stories that you tell because you don't have the trust. So I think that the difference here is yeah, it's the trust, and we can see that people are very interested to see these sort of certificates, not just that we say that it's been done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Are there more questions? Over here.
Thank you. This is very, very impressive. I think you are also leading again the sustainability from your company. So, sorry, my question is for Anastasio. Is possible to have room for other speakers, or?
I think you can talk from here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Because I'm very interested in your study. I think it's really, really nice that you can put number figures to this willingness to pay for sustainability. I think it's 20% is a lot, so for this price, and because I don't remember well the numbers, but in relative terms, which attribute of this circularity do you think is most valuable for the customer from your point? Because I think this is important for biodiversity, soil management, water, or plastic. So do you have an idea from your study what is the most value attribute, and if this attribute is different between regions or countries, or do you have any idea about that? Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
No.
Thank you for the question. So we have estimated the value, well, the willingness to pay for each of the, I don't know.
No. Okay.
Well, thank you for the question. We have estimated the willingness to pay for each of the attributes, and it was so the highest willingness to pay, well, the premium price that you would get from one of the attributes, it was 21 cents for, it was water, sustainability, and carbon sequestration, also rural vitality, it was 20 cents. The thing is that, so I didn't say it, but for me, the takeaway, the main takeaway for the producers is, will I be able to produce, for example, to make a sustainable use of water at a cost that is at an extra cost that it will be lower than the premium price that I'm going to get, and the net benefits between the cost for the producers and the extra price that it will get, for me is the main takeaway that it will be good for the producers to understand. So if I didn't say it, but the 4 classes were 25%, so each of them, they were equal in size. So if you think that you can target this specific part of the market, effectively communicating that this attribute is achieved from the producer side, then the producer could, if he or she can answer this question, could think, well, then it pays off or not. So the thing is that we have only estimates from the consumer side, but it would be good to have also estimates from the producer side, from the supply side, thinking on the costs of providing this. And because of that, I think that, Niklas and Rafael's initiative within Deoleo, it's very much interesting. And it would, actually, I have this question also for you. So if you have information about the costs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the cost related to this in particular, obviously there is a cost. There is an extra cost on each label, and there's an extra cost setting up the system. And what we do here, we've not gone into sort of the technical solution, but basically I would say that the cost is not very high because the extra cost in a label is very, very small once you have the volumes and the setup, because we do have in the market, let's say, standardized solutions for the blockchain that you can work with. And then obviously the key part is your integration from your production systems, from the batches, to do all this crossing of data to get from a finished product back to a raw material that can have gone through a series of blends, in the process. But if you have a fairly solid traceability system already in place, I would say that it's not that much of an investment. If you now spread it out, looking at our volume, we are talking about a few cents per a bottle. That is perhaps now can be €5 in the market. So it's an. I would say that again, looking back at your data, it's obviously interesting. It's one thing is, are they ready to pay more? But are they ready to pay as much as it is your extra cost to deliver this quality? And for us, it's clearly, as we say, competitive advantage. We clearly see a win-win and an advantage for us with this solution. Okay.
Thank you, Niklas.